My spot. Hey, come on and sip your tea in ministry. Come taste and see. Relationships can be real and loving. Laughter is medicine. Now tell me how you been. I believe that you can win. A moment of transparency. Hey.
Welcome to the Mott Spot, a moment of transparency, a place where you can come and share your story and you would not be judged. We thank you for showing up today, being present with us, and we're so excited about our guest on today. Actually, I do not know her. This is the first time of me meeting her, but I watched her story on Facebook and it blessed me so. And I was like, I have to have her on the show because she was very transparent when she was on live. So I really appreciate her coming today. And her name is Linda Grady. So welcome our guest today. We're so glad to have you here. And she has such a beautiful smile. And her daughter is here too. Y'all can't see it, but she looks just like her mama, okay? And she has a beautiful smile as well. So we're so excited about her being here on today. So we welcome you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So the first thing that we usually do is ask a would rather question. I ask you, and you can answer, and I'll answer one as well, okay? So the first question I will ask, would you rather be very sensitive to everything people say or never be able to hear the opinions of others?
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
I guess I would have to say I'd rather not be able to hear the opinions of others because I believe that so many people, because of, for one reason or another, they haven't been totally and completely healed, and they are actually moved by the opinions of other people, and it actually stops them and keeps them from moving forward in life. So I believe I'd rather not hear their opinions.
Yeah. I will agree with you on that because you can get stuck just on people's opinion of you. And a lot of times some people might say, well, I don't care what people think, but you really do care what people think.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets you into a place to where it paralyzes you.
Absolutely.
And you do not do the things that even God has called you to do because of somebody's opinion, because they're going to have opinion.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You are absolutely right.
Yes. So the second question is, would you rather be 400 and look 400 your entire life, or would you rather live to be 80 and look like you're 25 years old?
Live to be 80 and 25 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I mean, if you live to 400, and chances are you see so much and you endure so much that, by the time you're 400, and even though you're looking young and alive and vibrant, most of everything that you love and know is already passed on. The other night I was sitting there and Benjamin Buttons, the what is it, The Secret Life or The Crazy Life of Benjamin Buttons came on, where he was born as an old baby. He looked like an old man, but through the years he got younger and younger and younger, grew into adulthood all the way back to childhood, and we watched everybody that he knew and loved die before him.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'd rather be 80 and still looking good, fine, and all of that.
Yes. That is most definitely a good point. Yeah, that is really a good point, watching everybody else to be gone anyway. So, yeah, that's a good point. So, we're going to ask you one more question. Would you rather only be able to remember 3 things perfectly or have permanent short-term memory loss?
Wow.
I
don't know where you
right?
come up with these
questions.
Listen, I think the 3 things.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather remember the 3 things rather than to have short-term memory. That is scary because you can only remember for the now and the things that was past that actually brought the wisdom and the balance into your life, and you don't get to know those things because the short-term memory doesn't allow that, that can be horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that can be a horrible thing.
Yeah. And I would agree with you, and I thought about if I have permanent memory loss, and I watch people with family members that have Alzheimer and dementia like that is so painful.
It's a very painful
it's
disease.
a painful walk. So I just would not. I would not. I'd rather remember those 3 things and be fine with that. Yes, ma'am. So the reason why you're here, I was watch your Facebook Live, and usually I mean, because there's so many different people on there doing different things. Yeah. But it was something that drew me to listen to your message in its entirety.
Wow.
And one of the things that you said about dying, like you felt like you had died. And I was like, oh my God, because a moment of transparency, hearing you say that, I was in a place.
Yeah.
I've been in a place. And sometimes that place creeps back up on me where literally like I just, everything was dying. I didn't feel like coming to church. I pastored for 6 years. I closed my church in August of last year, and I came back home to Bishop. And because we were dying, I was like, our struggle was not money. We had money we had to give away. It wasn't money. It was the people were dying.
Yeah.
And they looked like, I was like, we're all not going to sit here and die. Look, y'all can do what y'all want to do. I'm going back to my bishop. If y'all want to come, you can come. If you don't, then you can choose wherever you want. But I refuse to let you or myself die on my watch. So that's why I made a decision. It was like they wasn't hungry anymore. They didn't want to do it. It was almost like people were coming because they were dedicated to me. But they came. Obligation. Yeah, but they came and, it just wasn't going. So I was like, hey, I had to make a decision. This is what I'm going to do, and I did it. I launched out, and I did it because I heard God's voice, and I was so determined that we're not going to do this, not like this. Yeah. So I'm going back. So that really blessed me, but most of all, it blessed me because you shared.
Yeah.
Because being a pastor, we don't share our most vulnerable times. We don't. We want people to think we got it going on. We've never been through nothing. We've never done anything. So that's why you're here today. That's why I invited you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. That particular day, I had taken a hiatus from all social media for probably almost 2 years at that point. Because prior to taking that hiatus, I had been through something so painful and experienced a side of Christians that I just couldn't believe. And so what I did coming back that day, that was the first time me coming back, and I told my daughter, I said, when I come back, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be transparent because people need to know my story, because one of the things that the Lord said to me, he said, never be ashamed to share your story, because at the very moment that you do, actual deliverance and it's going to take place. And so when I came back on, I decided to just tell my story of what I've been through. And I'll never forget, just going back a few years, well, more than a few years back, I got saved in 1986. Gave my heart to the Lord, fell in love with Jesus. Lived for him, every fiber of my being. I like to tell people that when I got saved, my hair actually got saved and gave God the praise. So I always say that. But however, in 1987, I don't know how old you are or whatever, but I don't know if you remember Dr. Mac Timberlake. From Creedmoor, North Carolina, but he came to a service that we was doing, and all of a sudden he called me out of the audience, and he pointed at me and he said, he said, God said that you are a joy to the body of Christ. Everything you touch, you make beautiful. You are a joy to the body of Christ. Incidentally, my name, Linda, means beautiful. And he said, so the Lord says that whenever the enemy comes for you, he'll come to rob you of all of your joy. Wow. Now, in 1986, my life is going great. I'm in love with the Lord. I haven't experienced anything yet. It's kind of like a child, a teenager. They grow up and they haven't really experienced the realness of and the harshness of the realities of life. And so I had no idea what he was talking about. And I wouldn't really come to find out the full balance of that until actually it was 2018. 2018 started this downward spiral in my life like I never dreamed would happen ever in my life. Everything that I knew and loved and everything that I trusted to be real, it died. And it started off with my husband, which was, I guess at that point it was about 6 years prior to that. He lost his mother. And when he did, there was like a lot of unresolved issues. And because of those unresolved issues, he didn't know how to handle it. She died suddenly, and there were things that was left unsaid, left undone, that he felt like, I'll never get an opportunity. And it just started him on this spiral of, for lack of words, self-abuse. And he started abusing himself emotionally, just feeling like he was a bad son because he didn't get to fix everything. And then that spiraled into him getting depressed. And I noticed after about 6 months, he was still in this place where I know all death is painful and nobody heals at the same time, but he spiraled into something that I did not recognize. And he started the depression got so heavy that he was self-medicating with alcohol. He started drinking wine again, which, we hadn't drank and stuff in years since we gave hearts to the Lord. Then it went from, the depression being almost debilitating to the point where he couldn't get out of bed. He was weeping all the time, crying and hating his life. And so he went to the doctor. They prescribed him Zoloft. And the Zoloft, along with the alcohol, he became addicted to the pills. He became addicted to the alcohol. And our ministry took a dive like you wouldn't believe. I was able to uphold things. I kept his secret. I covered for him. I would go to church and say that, he's just not feeling well. And I'd get up there and I'd preach and prophesy and do everything that we needed to do, just keeping him covered. And then around 18, things just really got bad for him. And he went through a season where he was blacking out, not knowing what he was doing. And at that point, some things happened, and it became very public, and it went viral on social media. The saints texting and tweeting and lying and telling their stories all over the social media. And I had almost what I thought was a breakdown. I'll never forget one of my good friends. She said, "Come on, Pastor, I'm going to take you away because you are breaking." So she took me away. She literally put me in her car, threw some stuff in a bag and put me in her car and made me leave. Took me away for a spa weekend. And while we were at the spa weekend, got a phone call from someone, and they began to tell me something that was going on. And I remember just dropping the phone and just screaming in the lobby of the hotel, to the point where my friend put me in the elevator, and just screaming and crying and I hate it because I'm not the one to bring attention to myself, but just screaming and crying. And on the way up the elevator, a lady in there, and she just started speaking in tongues. I know this lady from nowhere, but between the both of them, they got me into the room, and she made me made me get in the shower, just take a cold shower, just cool down. I was all over the place. And from that, when I got back in town the next day, it was church, and I had to share what was going on. And from that moment, everybody started leaving. Some just left, mad, angry, wouldn't talk to us, people that I never dreamed would never not speak, just leaving and mad and sharing rumors and gathering together and calling people and the whole nine. So it just got really bad for me. And I guess the worst part is the people that you've loved, and some of them have been with us for almost some for 25 years of ministry, and for them to leave and not speak and not talk to you or to see you and to act as though they hated you. It was very hard, and I'm trying to be hard for her. She's graduating high school, college, and I'm trying to keep secrets from her. I'm trying to keep her strong. I'm trying to stay strong not only for her, I'm trying to stay strong for my husband. I'm trying to stay strong for the ministry. And after a while, even Supergirl gets hit with kryptonite, and she has to come out of that cave. And there came a time where I felt like I couldn't take it anymore.
Wow.
And so I used to be very healthy, eat healthy, work out, the whole nine. I ended up gaining 35 pounds. And I like to tell people that God, created that pandemic for me because I was physically and mentally and emotionally not in a position where I could minister to anyone. So I feel like he shut it down for me. Now, I know that's not the truth, but I feel that way. And so in the midst of just being shut down during that pandemic, I spiraled even deeper. Just sad, crying, depressed. I remember just trying to make myself walk through the house just to wash the dishes. Just getting up off of the couch, was a chore to me. I got to the place where I did not want to shower, bath, or anything. Comb my hair. My hair had knotted up and lumped up in a knot in top. But just depressed, just sad, feeling like I was dead, but yet I was alive. And the worst part is when you are alive, but you feel dead. And you feel like there is nothing inside of you that you can give to anybody else anymore. Wow. And I felt dead. And I felt like I was walking around like a zombie. Yes. And I would look at myself in the mirror and see the shell of a person that I once was. The girl that was happy, that made everything beautiful. Everything I touched, I made beautiful. I gave hope to everyone because that's my personality, just bumping and jumping and happy and always encouraging everybody. And I would look in the mirror and I would see a shell. And all I could see was this dead person that was walking around in this shell. I'm dead, but I'm alive. But at the root, you know what? I did not want to be dead. I wanted to be alive. Yes. And the most painful thing is to be alive and not living. Alive and afraid to live. Alive and afraid to trust. And then on top of all of that, I was mad at God. I was so mad at him because I felt like you're the only one that can deliver me. I cried out to you for years for my husband. I cried out to you for years because my daughter, she went through her own little thing. And not knowing how to handle the pressure of everything that she was seeing and feeling in ministry. Yeah. And the people that she had grew up looking at, and some of them looking at them as parents and grandparents, to see them turn away and to say hurtful things to someone that she loves. So I'm trying to figure out all of this. God, why would you let my daughter go through this? She's in pain. It's one thing for me to be in pain, but she's in pain. And for your child, you would fight a tiger for your child. And so I'm angry with God, the one person that can help me. I don't want to talk to him. Wow. Because I feel like, I didn't talk to you. Wow. I've asked you. I've begged you. I've cried. And I'm still right here. I can't even figure for the life of me why my husband went through that. Wow. I can't figure out for the life of me why these people turned on us. Why they're mad at me. Why they won't talk.
I mean, and it's so, the church, like who, because my question, I'm thinking, like, who came for you? Did anybody come for you? I mean, I know when you think about family, I'm going to take away the family, but did anybody come for you?
I had 3 of the most amazing friends that would not let me die. My good friend, Pastor DeTanya Betts out of Raleigh, and Pastor Rosa Herman out of Fayetteville, and my sister. And they would not let me die. They fought with me. I mean, my friend Day, Pastor Day, she would literally show up on my doorstep and come through the house speaking in tongues and encouraging me, rebuking me when I needed it. But I did have them, but it's crazy because you can have what you've been praying for and asking for, but because it's not who you want
it to be, the ones that should be.
I wanted the people that I had taken care of for so many years to now come and see about me.
Yes.
And they didn't.
Yes.
And that's what was painful.
Yes.
Because I had, from hospital, sitting up to, if anyone went in the hospital, I would arrange a whole team to go in and clean their house and get them ready. As long as they were down. Any birthday parties, baby showers, graduations, games, I was there, or my husband was there. Always in 100% full support. I took care of them when they were down. And even though I had my good friends that was calling me and taking care of me and praying for me and believing in me and speaking life into me, I still wanted these people that I had spoken life into to call me up and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I want to thank you for what you've done in my life. I want to thank you that I am where I am because of what the Lord did through you for me. And so no.
Yeah, that would have brought healing.
Yeah.
But when you get to that place where those people are not coming for you in that manner, it's a time where you have to make a decision.
And I did.
Yes.
And I had to decide that I wanted to live.
Yes.
And there was nobody else could decide that for me except me.
Yeah.
I had to decide that no matter how much you have hurt me, I choose to forgive you. I love to say this, and I often say this, that in life, life is a series of choices. And everything that we do is a matter of choice. And therefore, you can't blame anybody. I can't blame these people for how they act. They chose to act that way.
Yes.
I can't blame myself for the choices that I made. The only thing that I could do is decide to make another choice. And to choose to pick myself up and get up and to live. Because nobody was going to live. See, in order to live, you got to want to live. In order to live, you got to forgive. And I had to forgive my God, first of all. I had to forgive myself, and I had to forgive my husband, and I had to forgive the people. I had to forgive all of that.
Wow.
So that I could live.
Wow.
Because when living became more important to me than sitting on that couch, getting fat. I gained 35 pounds. Getting fat. Being sad, crying all the time. Even when I wasn't crying. This is so crazy because if I wasn't crying the physical tears, I could be standing at my sink washing dishes, and this is the sound that was coming out of me. Just dead, miserable on the inside. Just no life. Just standing there trying to go through the emotions of life. Let me tell you something. It is hard when you're trying to go through the emotions of life and rigor mortis has set into your limbs and you're stiff and you're dying. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm trying to go through the motions of life, wash the dishes, clean the house, do the things for her, go out and try to run a church and talk online to people that I don't even want to talk to, ministering to people. I don't even want to preach to you.
Yes.
Rigor mortis is set in. Rigor mortis, it stiffens your limbs and it gets you so jacked up that you can't move. And your mouth might be moving, but your heart is not. Your emotions are not. You don't feel anything. And so I'm standing there and all I can...
Wow. Yeah, I was thinking how even in a time in my life, right when I got ready to close my church, which was last August, and I didn't want to have anything to do with church. I didn't want to have anything to do with people that was going to church. I wasn't angry at God, but I knew that, I was just done. Like I was just over. When I came to this place, and I've shared with the people and my testimony, I I want to be done with church. I want, if I had to come, I want to sit on that back row and just be not bothered. Don't bother. Let me come in here, get the word. Let me raise my hand, and I'm done. Yeah. Because I believe that, you know, once you go through experiences with the vessels that you fellowship with, and you went to church with, and you know, even pray with or whatever, and they turn on you, like it's something inside of you that you just, it's like it sucks life from you.
Life out of you.
I mean, it really just drains you. And I'm just like, God, I just don't want this. I cannot believe. And for someone to take a vulnerable state of mind, you know, a weak place of mind, and turn it into something that you want to share with this one and that one and that one. Like, that was just a lot.
It was a whole lot.
Yes.
It was a whole lot. And I could so identify with what you're saying. I didn't want to, even now.
Oh, yeah.
Even this very moment.
Yes, ma'am.
I view all Christians with suspicion.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I figure if you say that you love the Lord, but you can treat people like you treat them.
Yes.
I don't know who you are. Yeah. And so when I see people now in the name of Christianity, and they're all over the place, I love you this and I love you that, I view them with so much suspicion now. Yeah. Like, you know, how much would it take for you to sell me out?
Yeah, yeah.
Will it take somebody being offended and you listening to their conversation? Will it take a rumor that you didn't even bother to chase down but just believed? Yeah. What is it going to take for you to sell me out? Yeah. So I view them with suspicion, and going to church now, even, you know, I didn't know where I was coming. 520 T Street didn't have any bearings until we pulled up, and I said, oh, this is Myron and Frenchie's church. I'm sorry, Bishop Dawson and Pastor Frenchie's church. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, you know, because now to want to go and just fellowship, I'm still being healed.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. I'm still being healed. Yes. When I step in my church on Sunday mornings and pastor there, I'm still being healed. Yes. The dirt, I had literally dug a grave for myself. Yes. And I buried myself, because here's the thing. When you bury yourself, nobody can get to you.
That's right. That's right.
You're safe. That's but right. The dangerous part is nobody can get in there and you can't get out. And the thing is, even now, so when I go to church, I still feel little debris, little dirt, but I have to knock it off because I'm determined to live. Yes. I'm determined to live and to do everything that God wanted me to do. And part of that living is not being religious. I refuse to be a religious fool in the church anymore. Yes. I refuse to be blind to the ways of the enemy that works through people in the church. Absolutely. I refuse that anymore. Absolutely. See, I used to be so open and so full of trust that I would trust it. But now, you got to earn my trust. Yes. You got to earn it. Yes. And I'm not going to be a religious fool. I'm not going to be a religious zealot. I believe that God is not just in the four walls of a church. Right. That's right. I believe that God is everywhere, and he wants to minister everywhere. Therefore, he told his disciples, go ye into all of the world and make disciples. Now, if we think that we can just make disciples in the four walls of a church, we're messed up. Yes. There are people, like I told my daughter, she makes music and all of this stuff. And I told her, I said, no matter where you go, God can get glory, maximum glory from your life. If you are in tune, it does not have to be in a church. Right. You don't have to have one of these. Right. You can stand anywhere and minister to anybody at any time, because some people are never going to come into the church.
That's right.
And what if we're using the four walls of a building, as an excuse for not reaching the lost? And so many things transpired when I was in that grave, while I was digging my way out, while I'm still brushing off dirt. I'm still getting all these wonderful revelations of what the Lord really wants to do in the earth right now. And what he really wants to do in the earth right now has not so much to do with standing behind a podium. It has not so much to do with being in the four walls of a church. When you walk down the street, my daughter and I, for Mother's Day weekend, we were in Charlotte. And we walk down the street and you see so many people that are hopeless and helpless. And so many Christians will walk right past them. Talking about, bless them, Lord. Well, he does want to bless them. But he wants to use you to bless them. See, here's the thing about love. The Bible says, and we will know them by the love that we share towards one another. What is love? Nobody can really define love. But love is attention. Anything that you give your attention to long enough, you're gonna develop some kind of feelings towards it. So how are we gonna show them who we are? By the love that we show towards one another, when we don't even have an attention span to love one another. If someone does anything wrong, then we're done with them. I'm through with them. You know, don't fellowship with them. You know, they into this right here. You know, I'm so tired of that right there. I am so tired. But when you see people walking down the street and they need that touch, how are they going to get that touch if we don't love one another enough to make a difference inside the four walls of the church? How are we going to show attention to someone outside of the walls of the church? I just believe that God is doing something different. And while I was digging my way out, and while I'm coming back alive and living, because I am alive now, as my daughter and them say, I awoke. And I'm telling you, I am awakened to the things that God wants to do. And what he wants to do is not from a religious standpoint. It's not. He wants us to go into all of the world. But some of us are still so bound to tradition and religion that we can't go, because if you see someone, I'll never forget one time, and I know I just jumped off a subject. However, one time my sister had called me, and she was in a crack house years ago. I went up in that crack house to get my sister. I was very much a pastor. Didn't care what nobody thought. When I saw her down at the, I don't care what you saw. And see, I believe that as believers, if we would get to that place where we don't care what people think, the thing is, we care too much about what people think, so we can't make a difference. And we can't reach those lives and love those people that are bound and broken and out on the street, you know, not knowing who they are. This generation right now, it's not that they're bad, it's just that they're awoke, and they have seen so much junk in the church that they don't want it now. They don't want to walk up in the church to see all the cliques and the isms and the schisms. They don't want to walk up in here and be judged because they are still finding out who they are. And so my thing is, if we don't make a difference now, the same way that I went in that crack house, I will go again if God sends me. I am not bound by things or stuff anymore. I used to be one of the best dressers in the city of Greensboro. Are you hearing me? Every time you saw me, I was on point from head to toe, looking good, love clothes. I gave away everything in my closet. I have like 6 pieces of clothing, and most of them consist of T-shirts and blue jeans. Because I am no longer bound by stuff. I am bound by what he wants me to do. And I didn't tell anybody about this, me interviewing on your show, because I only want to do what God wants me to do. I only want to go where he wants me to go. I only want to say what he wants me to say. I only want to reach who he wants me to reach, because everybody is not my assignment, and I want to reach them.
That's right.
I'm not bound by stuff. And when you get rid of all of your attachment to the stuff, the stuff makes us. And so we are attached to it. But when we get detached from it and have one focus and one aim, and that is to please the Lord and to bring maximum glory to his name and not ours. And I believe that while I was buried alive, I believe that God killed out a whole bunch of stuff that needed to be dead. And he resurrected me and brought me back to life, to the real things that he needed
Yes, ma'am.
to use and
Yes,
to make a
ma'am.
difference.
Yes, ma'am. It is very key that we understand that people are not gonna like us, people are not gonna agree with the things. But where I am today, I want to do what God want me to do.
Absolutely.
And this is why the moment of transparency became what it is, because I need to do this. No, I no longer pastor, but this is me pastoring
Absolutely.
at a different level. And I know that church cannot be the same that it was before we went into it. Cannot look the same. And then I understand that God, he's raising up people like you and myself and other people to get, because we have to go reach those who have not been reached.
Absolutely.
And the church, sorry to say it, we've lost our ground on being able to reach certain people because of the way that we have treated people.
Absolutely.
Because of the rules and regulations. You don't do this, you can't dress, you can't wear, you can't do.
Yes.
And people just don't feel comfortable with coming into that space.
Exactly, because they understand that God is not requiring this. This is rules that man has made.
Yes.
And they've made so many rules that they pushed out a lot of people that had purpose,
Yes.
that is not going to readily discover their purpose because they've been pushed out. The Bible says that the traditions of man has made the word of God to
Yes,
non-effect.
yes,
And I believe that we have so many traditions and so many rules and so many regulations that we cannot reach the assigned people that we've been assigned to reach. What if we don't reach who God told us to reach? What if we're reaching the wrong
The
people?
wrong people.
What if God didn't assign me to reach Sister JJ,
Yeah.
but I'm over here spending all my time with Sister JJ because that's what I think, or that's the Christian way, and
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to reach everybody, but everybody has an
It's not-
assignment.
That's right.
Everybody
That's
has an assigned amount of time on the face of the planet, an assigned amount of people to reach, an assignment to do from God. And most people are not even in that because they think, get saved, go to church, become a preacher. That's your job. What if your assignment is doing somebody's hair?
That's right.
And while you're on their head, they're telling you their problems.
That's right.
You're able to ask God for wisdom.
That's right.
He gives you the wisdom, and you're able to minister to them and bring a change about in their life. Or even if they don't, but you know that they're going through something.
Yes,
And while you
yes.
got your hands in their head,
Yes.
massaging that
That's
scalp,
right, that's
you
right.
calling on the
Calling
name of
just
the Lord
right.
under
Yes,
your breath and
yes.
asking God for his hand of favor and protection on their life.
Absolutely.
People don't understand that assignments and callings are not just for the pulpit. It is not just to stand up on a platform. It is not just to have this mic in your hand. There are assignments and callings all over. Why else would God say, Jesus say, go ye into all the world? All the world.
Yes.
The world system.
Yes.
Go into it. Go into the marketplace. Go into the
Yes.
grocery stores. Go down Wall Street. Go all over the globe.
Yeah.
Wherever you think that you're not supposed to go.
Right.
And you make disciples.
Right.
And our job is to make disciples. We tell them about the Lord. We bring them to church. They get taught. They get fed. They go out. They make disciples.
right.
Bring people back.
That's
and
right.
that's how it's supposed
That's
to be.
right.
But
That's
somehow it has gotten so out of control.
Yes.
And it's become this thing that people are not impressed by.
They are not. They are
Convicted
not attracted
by.
to, absolutely not.
They don't feel no urgency to get there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame.
Yeah.
But I've dug my way out. I still find debris. I still find little pieces of
Yes,
dirt.
yes,
But I've
ma'am.
learned how to shake it off.
Yes, ma'am.
I've learned the fact that if I never get an apology, that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
If no one ever says, hey, Pastor Linda, I love you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for what I did. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because to me, to live is Christ. To live is Christ right now. And I have another opportunity. Because, the scariest part, Stephanie, is I thought, you know what? What if I missed someone while I was in that grave that I was supposed to touch? While I was so self-absorbed
Yes.
with what I was going through
Yes.
and what had been done to me.
Yes.
What if I missed someone? What if I have to stand before the Lord and give an account to someone that I actually missed because I was so self-absorbed and in that spot?
That is really good, because when I was going through my situation, when I got to a place where I can come back and hear, I asked the Lord, first I repented, and I asked him, Lord, can you please redeem the time?
Wow.
Because if somebody was waiting on me, can you please redeem the time while I was crying and while I was going through? Can you redeem the time? Now, we did it because, like you said, we have that superwoman mentality, and we can get things done and come back home and be distraught. Several nights grabbing my pillows, not even letting my husband know, and I'm just bawling. I'm just crying to myself. But I asked the Lord, Lord, will you please redeem the time that I lost while I was in that dead state? And, I'm just so grateful to the Lord that he's allowed the Mod Spot to be a place where we can hear stories like you. I knew nothing about you, never heard you before. And, you know my bishop. I didn't know that. I just heard your story that you shared, you coming back, and that thing just blessed me like, you're not dead any longer. I don't want to die anymore. And that was me. I wanted to die, but I made a conscious decision and a choice to do things for myself to make me get out of this dead place. If I had to crawl, I had to crawl. Until I could walk again. And I was active in the process of what God was doing in my life, because even though I went through that, it still was a part for him to get his glory.
Absolutely.
It still was his way of saying, okay, I'm going to get glory at the end of this. And I realized even after that position of being betrayed, my spot was birthed. It was birth. Because you think about, we have the teacups, it's tea. And you know how people look, I got some good tea for you. I got some good tea. But here at the Mod Spot, that tea is to build up. That tea is to encourage. That tea is to bring strength. That tea is to stop someone from wanting to commit suicide. And you've seen it. So many people are taking their lives because they didn't have nobody that they can share their tea with.
Come on.
That could help them, that build him up, or that they could even trust them.
Yeah, because with God, everything that he allows us to go through, everything is purpose in it. Even when you don't understand it. Even when it's so painful that you feel like you want to die. Even when it's so painful that you bury yourself alive to protect yourself from being hurt. God still has purpose in it. And when you get to the place where you are at this awesome place where you're willing to hear him, say, okay, it's time for you to dig yourself out. I have need of you now. I love God because he never got mad at me, even though I was so mad at him. He never forsook me, even though I left him. Even though I wouldn't talk to him, he still kept talking to me. He still kept ordering my steps and directing my path, all the way until I was able to pick up my own shovel and start to dig myself out of what I had allowed. I dug my way out of all of the shame, the hurt, the pain, the anger, the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the madness, the anger, the suspicion, the doubt, the manipulation, because I found myself manipulating situations. Because when you find yourself in the place like I was, you every emotion, you'll use it to your advantage, even if it's to get attention. When I claimed I didn't want it. But I decided, after hearing God and letting him direct my path, I started coming out. I started digging my way out. Why? Because there was purpose in me going in, and there's a greater purpose when I get out. There is a greater purpose. There is something that he wants me to do. There is some place that he wants me to go. There is some person that I have been assigned to, persons that I have been assigned to reach. And sometimes the only way you can reach them is you got to go through what they're going through so that you can tell them, because there's nobody that can minister to you better than somebody that's been through what you're going through.
You are exactly right. And we have to, and we don't think of that, and I'm not here to even judge us on that, because it's the humanistic side of us. We don't think well, I'm just going through, because we hear people say it, well, you know, I knew I had to go through to be able to reach somebody else, but really, that is real. You
It's
are
real.
going through for somebody else, because there's nothing like being able to bear witness. That's just like someone
Exactly.
watching us, you know, be like, wow, you know, that's a pastor, and she wanted to die. Are you really? You know, we're sharing our story to let you know that we're real.
Yeah.
We're real people. We go through
Exactly.
just like you go through with the title.
And I wish people would understand that about pastors. And I think sometimes we do the ministry harm by showing them the strong side all the time and letting them think that, you know, they never go through anything. You know, they come out with a smile on their face. They pray. They tell you what they're going through. But then you see them smiling. You see them going through life. And they're just fine. They at your funerals. They at everything. And they're still with a smile. So we show them this side where they begin to believe that we are some kind of superhuman people when we are not. We go through just like they do. And I if I could get one message to pastors, it's to stop and be real.
Yeah.
I'm not saying be, you know, pitiful and sad and crying and weeping in front of them, but be real. Let them know I'm not this object to be worshipped. And one of my friends that walked with me through in this journey, she said, I think you did too much for your people. You spoiled them rotten. They expected you to be at every birthday party. They expected you to be strong for them. They expected you to bail them out every time. She said, you spoiled them rotten. She said, you should have showed them a side of you that was realer than what they saw, because they saw you as being superhuman, and they took advantage of it. And when they saw that you weren't, they hightailed it.
Absolutely.
So if I could get this message across to pastors, just be real. Stop being this superhuman person like you walk on water, because you don't. You hurt. You're not going to be there for everything. You're not going to be perfect in every situation. And a lot of times, you know, I think we've done this damage to ourselves, and we've done it to the congregation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you did that, because I was going to ask you if it was one thing that you could say, what would you say to our audience or those who are watching? So that is really powerful, because I think it would be it would be so much more effective in the lives of the people once they leave the church building.
Yeah.
To know that, you know, this is someone that imparts into me every week, and wow, they said they struggle with, you know, they didn't even want to come to church today. So, you know, it's something about, because I've said it many times when I preach, I don't feel like it today. I really don't, but I knew I had an assignment. But to tell them I'm real. I didn't want to get up this morning. I didn't want to come to church this morning.
When I tell you that I didn't want to go and I would dread it, and I asked the Lord, I said, Father, why is it that when I first started out, I loved everything about church and ministry, only to get to this place right here where when I get up and think about going to church, it makes me sad. And it bothered me for a long time. It bothered me. And God really ministered to me, and he said to me, he said, it's not that church makes you sad. He said, it's the memory of what you had, and the fact that it will never, ever be that way again. That's what makes you sad. And I'm telling you, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I just want people to know, and I'm going to say this, I want people to know, even when you feel like you're dying, even when you feel like it's over, even when you feel like you don't have the capacity to love anymore, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You can live again. You can trust God again. You will get up. You will complete your assignment. It's not over.
Amen.
It's not over.
Amen.
And that's what I had to tell myself. It's not over. I'm ready to live.
Amen.
And now you can't beat me getting up out of bed.
Amen.
I get up singing, and every morning, this is my thing. I get up, and when I go downstairs after I've prayed, I go downstairs in the kitchen, and I say, Alexa, play A Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Wow.
And then we do our little dance and our little
Yes,
jig.
yes.
When I wake up in the morning, Lord, and the
Yes.
whole nine.
Yes.
And we and because I just believe that life is worth living now.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
yes.
it's not until you have died, been dead man walking,
That's right. That's right.
that you appreciate the realness of life.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I've got my theme song, and we get ready to end this segment. I've got a theme song. You're gonna live to see it happen. I play that song every day.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna live to see it happen. I'm gonna live, and I'm not talking about so much as my physical,
Yeah.
but my spiritual.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna live to see it happen. Whatever the Lord has for us to do, people
Absolutely.
of God. We're going to live to see that thing happen. We're going to have some bad days. We're going to have some good days. We're going to have some weary days. We're going to have days where we don't feel like it. But we have to understand that God created us and he purposed us for a reason. So I just want to just thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
and
having
sharing
me.
today. You have really blessed my heart. You blessed me from the first time I seen it. And I know that the people will be blessed
Thank you
to
so
be able to hear a story that is real and people deal with real stuff. So I really thank and appreciate you
Thank
for
you
coming.
so much for having me.
Yes,
God bless
ma'am.
you.
God bless you. All right, this your girl around the corner. We're getting ready to end, and we'll see you next week, same time. God bless you. Bye-bye.
My spot. Hey, come on and sit